Alright. Upper issues. Yeah, man, Lonesome, we're up. We're up on some serious issues now, yeah? Alright, so, I have a, I have a voice note where, with an interview I want to play with some people from overseas about the minister visa when him get back from the other day, see? And I have to play it. I have to play that. It's a must. See? Bless up, Paula, you're up. Yeah, man, we're up, man. See? So we want to play Daryl Vaz, and then we're going to play because we want to know about the visa, Ingrid up. Bless up. Yeah. We want to know about the visa where Daryl Vaz get back. Yeah. And we can't, you see, me no want no deflection, So me no work off for deflection. Me just work off for some, natural things. So I'm going to play where Daryl Vaz say as a minister. But more want to know the visa there because when I get to understand like 2019 them come up, them create that little thing there for that kind of visa there. So you want to know, he's a minister. I mean, no, say even if them that give a waiver, them that give a 5 year and thing, them give a 12 months. As a minister, it's alright. Some want to know what behind the visa. You understand? Because that's how things. Maxwell up. Bless up, man. Bless up, man. Louis, bless up, man. Yeah, man. Bless up. Yeah, man. Ingrid, bless up, man. Yes, man. Say, alright. So, we can play this and then we can play the thing and listen. Because we want to know how the visa they operate. Like them create a new category, and just. And then he might want the first man forget one of them visa there, You understand? It's a 12-month thing. But make it sound like a big thing, but we want to know what behind it or why you lose the visa in the first place. Because people who represent Jamaica, especially in the government and them thing, the opposition and government, they must be upstanding, And I believe in that, Seem like how you have some youth, them get deep, or them come from jail, them can't get no work, them can't this. We want to see people resume, No, man, I'm not joke me, I make, man. It can't go for just one stop people like get the people alone, but some people when them do things, it's really okay. Can't okay with me. You understand? So I could see what I'm say first, and then we'll play the thing. I could see what I'm say first, and then we'll play the things in. So I could see this. I could hear what I want so. First.
Government Minister Daryl Vaz has responded to the controversy surrounding the issuance of a visa with annotations from the United States Embassy in Kingston. It follows calls for him to step aside. However, the Energy and Technology Minister reasons the developments are progressive and has instead publicly thanked the U.S. Embassy for their courtesy. More in this report.
For the courtesy. Thank them for the courtesy. Okay.
Response to the PNP, other than bad mind, can never and will never prosper. And to my conspirators, political and otherwise.
No, as a member, as a minister, what kind of conspirators? We just want to remember, for you're alright, you're cool, and them take away your thing, them you just deal with it and you get it back. You see? But we want to know, what kind of visa and what, and political bad men and conspirators conspire against you for what? Why? When people get themselves in trouble, them are conspire against them own self, Me hear this.
See you on a flight soon.
Oh, see you on a flight.
In response from Energy and Technology Minister Daryl Vaz to calls for his resignation. The West Portland Member of Parliament is again in the spotlight after fresh developments about his visa became public. Mr. Vaz was issued with a 1-year multiple entry B1-B2 visa that contained an annotation that deals with suspected controlled or listed substance trafficking.
Hear that?
Mr. Vaz has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing and said accusations made against him are baseless.
I consider this recent development to be both progressive and positive and a step in the right direction.
What?
And I would like to extend appreciation for the courtesies that have been extended by the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, Jamaica.
Mr. Vaz also insisted that he has been very transparent on the matter.
When my visa was revoked, I made a statement and committed to the people of Jamaica that I would keep them informed on the progress of my appeal. Well, that's what I have done in an open, transparent, and honest way, the only way that I know. And I have been fulsome in the disclosure of the visa and the type.
Remember, more talk, I just more talk. I'm going to with them know, honest, open and honest, and fulsome, yeah, man.
Visa that I have received. I know it will be expected for me to play the political tit for tat
Yeah,
in this situation, but I would never do that, as I would never wish for anybody to go through this saga.
In the meantime, a twist was added to the developing saga.
You know what I hear from a man here, so me could just stop the man there, cause him, you know what I hear from him. You know, not job him for just go away, you know. That yeah, him for just sit down. Him for just come over, sit down, yeah? Yeah, so me know want to hear from him. Alright, so him said now we span nobody and bad mind and them thing, right? So people want to know about the visa. Remember when you have two parties, that's why we say no, them need government glue them to come out come talk. Now when they come out come talk, yes, a bad mind. We're not business about no bad mind. The people them want to hold everybody accountable when the government go right back. Opposition now do your work, you have to step up too. I want to go resign too. We no business. This are different. This are 2021 and go 2022 very soon. We stop the foolishness there. This is not back in the dark ages when, you know, when you wear an orange shirt or a green shirt, you get cut up or get gunshot. The people them pass that already. We just want them pass the diet thing with my ban a labor right and my ban a PMP. So, you know, no care them I do. Me just sit down and suck it up and make them just suck out the lifeline of the country. Yeah? And push one side and then step up and tramp up and get the people. Me no that with no guy. You understand? Me no that. We don't want a friend from them. You see? And I do all kind of little things. So, I could hear where the visa, how the visa you work. See? So, I could just play and we want to understand how the visa the way you get work. Somebody I give back even now a visiting visa. I think I get a 10 year, even if them get away, even 5. You're a minister or something. Why a country like that and you're a minister in a government? I get 12 months. What am I do? Test you and watch something hour. Let me just see how the visa the work. I like know things. I tell you I like research and know things. Eh? Alright, hear this. Well, I know things, man.
I am now joined, ladies and gentlemen, by my very, very two special guests this evening. I am coming from the intelligence side and I'm coming from the legal side. I'm joined by Mr. Herb Nelson Jr. As I said before, he is a retired senior intelligence analyst, and I'm also joined by a retired special agent, Mr. Wilfred Rattigan, who is an attorney at law. Good evening, Herb. How are you?
Good evening, Wesley. I'm doing very well, thank you. And I'm looking forward to hearing your questions on this matter, as well as I'm sure your many listeners.
Okay. You know, Herb, I welcome you with open arms this evening again. I am going to get back Mr. Rattigan on the phone line. But while I try to get Mr. Rattigan back on the phone line, before we get started, I want to do this. And I want you to take a good listen. Take a good listen to the piece that I'm going to play right now. Take a listen.
Okay.
The United States Embassy in Kingston has reinstated the visitor's visa for Energy Science and Technology Minister Daryl Vaz 2 years after it was revoked for reasons unknown. Vaz was on Friday issued with a 1-year multiple-entry B1, B2 visa.
Yes, I can confirm, and I'm highly appreciative of the courtesy extended by the U.S. Embassy in Kingston.
The visa contained an annotation on the U.S. immigration law 212A2C1. This section speaks to controlled substance traffickers. It refers to a visitor who the consular officer or the U.S. Attorney General knows or has reason to believe is or has been an illicit trafficker in any controlled substance or in any illicit chemical, or is or has been a knowing aider, abettor, assister, conspirator, or polluter with others in the illicit trafficking in any such controlled or illicit substance or chemical, or endeavored to do so.
So I play back a little part there because I want to know the visa, you know, what kind of visa. Okay, I get a visiting visa, so they might tell you why them get and what and them know and this and why. Because it's a waiver, you know, it's a waiver. Saying, they might use them discussion, get a waiver. They don't get a 5 year, 12 months. A minister in our government.
2 years after it was revoked for reasons unknown, Vaz was on Friday issued with a 1-year multiple-entry B1, B2 visa.
Yes, I can confirm, and I'm highly appreciative of the courtesy extended by the U.S. Embassy in Kingston.
The visa contained an annotation on the U.S. immigration law 212A2C1. This section speaks to controlled substance traffickers. It refers arrest a visitor who the consular officer or the U.S. Attorney General knows or has reason to believe is or has been an illicit trafficker in any controlled substance or in any illicit chemical, or is or has been a knowing aider, abettor, assister, conspirator, or colluder with others in the illicit trafficking in any such controlled or illicit substance or chemical, or endeavored to do so.
Herb, that was a news clipping that I took from our weekly news from Jamaica Now with Mr. Damian Mitchell, explaining the kind of visa and what is attached to the visa that Mr. Vaz got last week. Now, I want you to break it down from the intelligence side. How could a diplomat get a visa like this?
This more I know.
Okay, diplomats are normally issued what is referred to as the A1 visa. And of course, we know that Mr. Vaz's visas and his wife's were revoked 2 years ago, approximately. Now, the person who had the authority to say he should get his visa back was Ambassador Tapia. Strangely enough, Ambassador Tapia did not do this during his tenure in Jamaica. He did it afterwards and during the tenure of the current President Biden. Of course, you know, Tapia served at the pleasure of President Trump.
True.
And so I would believe that had he gone into the Caribbean director at State Department and voiced his displeasure at the way Mr. Vaz is being treated, I am certain that they would have reconsidered the conditions under which Mr. Vaz had lost his visa. Now, since I'm the intel guy, let's look at it from a counterintelligence perspective. From a counterintelligence perspective, if I'm sitting there in the JDF or JCF, and I'm asked by either of the leading security officials, I would simply say that at this point, Mr. Vaz presents a counterintelligence dilemma for the government of Jamaica. Because you cannot perform as, how can I put it, as hard and as direct as you need to be in controlling the actions of the United States government in Jamaica. Just like how you have to control the actions of the Chinese. You can't let any one government come in and violate your sovereignty and dictate to you what should or should not occur.
Right.
So Mr. Vaz at this point is a crutch. That's not going to function for the Prime Minister. But the problem that the Prime Minister has is that he himself has trusted Mr. Vaz with his personal business, and knowing what our team here in the U.S. who visited St. Lucia spoke directly to persons who have had business with Mr. Vaz and the Prime Minister, we are fully aware of the ADMAT and the fact that his kids were underage, but they were still listed as officials in the company, and that the Prime Minister was the director of the company himself. And that we were told that there were certain issues from the time of the Panama Papers to shifting of monies to St. Lucia and Barbados. And that Mr. Vaz was the one who faithfully carried out the duties on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Hold your thoughts there, Herb, for one moment. We're now joined by retired FBI Special Agent and Attorney at Law, Mr. Wilfred Rattigan. And Mr. Rattigan, I'm not sure if, did you hear the piece that I played?
Yes, where they read the statute?
Yes. Now, I want to bring you in on this conversation as an attorney. And as an attorney who have dealt with issues like these, it is now to my understanding that Mr. Vaz is about to lead a delegation from Jamaica to the US real soon. But based on the visa, the B1, B2 visa that was issued, and with all the numbers connected to it, and I want you to speak on the numbers first though. The coded on this visa, talking about aiding and abetting, and it seems as if the minister was involved with something here. Talk about the kind of visa that was issued to Mr. Vaz last week.
Well, Russ, thanks for having me on. Greetings to Herb, yourself, and listening audience. Especially to my cousin Rose from Adonai cleaning and maintenance, who rushed home. She's out of breath right now, trying to get to the radio to listen to this program, to this broadcast. But getting to Mr. Vaz's situation, his B1, B2 visa conundrum is a personal matter. It's a tourist visa, and if I were advising him, there would be no public proclamation about it. However, this should be contrasted to an A visa that my good friend Herb just mentioned, which allows you to travel and conduct business on the government's behalf using a diplomatic passport. This requires accountability to the citizens of Jamaica. However, since Mr. Vaz has made his B1, B2 visa a public matter, and that bill cannot be on wrong. And so let's unpack some of this. His visas, and I say visas because I believe he had an A visa as well, because he traveled to the UN General Assembly back in September of 2019. And within a few days, I think it was October 8th, his visas were revoked, right? So both of them were revoked and a waiver was filed. Now, let me explain to people what a waiver is. Essentially, a waiver is when you ask the U.S. government to overlook or forgive the ground of inadmissibility. So, for example, the numbers that you're referring to, they essentially said that he's suspected, not convicted, he's suspected of being a drug trafficker. That's what those numbers mean, right? And this waiver that he's now in possession of, prior to May 2019, this waiver did not exist in the State Department. In fact, the waiver was recently incorporated into the Foreign Affairs Manual, which is the Bible for consular officers and how they do their business overseas. In fact, it was incorporated 10 days ago. Mr. Vaz received his visa, I believe, 2 days ago.
Wow. Now, listeners, and program note here.
It cooperated and even the first one received one of them. So them have view. You see, it's a waiver. And like you say, okay, him free up or something. But yeah, a waiver for move and him can't do certain things with it neither.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Groovin Radio. We are in our open forum community talk segment. We're trying to unravel the truth here and make the connection about how and what kind of visa Jamaica's energy minister, Mr. Daryl Vaz, received this week, almost 2 years to the exact date when he lost his visas. I'm joined by senior intelligence analyst, retired U.S. Army vet, Mr. Herb Nelson Jr., retired FBI special agent, Mr. Wilfred Rattigan, who's also an attorney at law. And for the listeners' purpose, I'm going to play this one more time so you could take a listen and digest the kind of visa that was granted to Mr. Vaz. Take a listen to this one more time, folks. Hold on, it's coming up. It's coming up.
The United States Embassy in Kingston has reinstated the visitor's visa for Energy Science and Technology Minister Daryl Vaz 2 years after it was revoked for reasons unknown. Vaz was on Friday issued with a 1-year multiple entry B1, B2 visa.
Yes, I can confirm, and I'm highly appreciative of the courtesy extended by the U.S. Embassy in Kingston.
The visa contained an annotation on the U.S. immigration law 212A2C1. This section speaks to controlled substance traffickers. It refers to a visitor who the consular officer or the U.S. Attorney General knows or has reason to believe is or has been an illicit trafficker in any controlled substance or in any illicit chemical, or is or has been a knowing aider, abettor, assister, conspirator, or colluder with others in the illicit trafficking in any such controlled or illicit substance or chemical, or endeavored to do so.
Now, why would a minister, why would a government minister take a visa? And I have this question for Herb. Why would a government minister from any government, anywhere, take a visa with such an attachment to it? Herb?
It tells me that there is a matter of trust based on information that's sitting in the State Department, probably the CIA and the FBI database, and that they were not going to fully endorse the A1 visa issuance. So whatever it is that this ambassador Tapia pulled, he pulled some strings, and he got the State Department to issue this based on maybe half-truth. And then he comes back now claiming that they are trying to cover their asses when it comes to the real reason why they took Mr. Vaz's visa from him. Yeah. So with that in mind, and with those questions up in the air, I think maybe the Jamaica government should be asking the local consul general or ambassador that very question. What does the Homeland Security investigation have there in Kingston on Mr. Vaz and others whose visas were suspended, and get a straight answer from them? But it should be transparency in this matter. You can't, that's transparency. That's the problem.
Let me just jump in, Rustin, and just add a couple of things. One is, by applying for the waiver, right, you're not denying the allegation.
That is it.
Or the insinuation, because you cannot, right? It's what you're doing, you're asking for, in Jamaican parlance, a lie.
It's a lie.
Because you're not saying that you're guilty or you're not guilty, you're just saying, overlook whatever it is that you think I did. Now, the second piece is that this visa is granted under any one of 5 grounds, and Herb can pick whichever one he wants and comment on it as a former intelligence officer. Number 1 is foreign relations, good foreign relations between countries. Number 2 is national security of the U.S. Number 3 is law enforcement objectives in the U.S. Number 4 is a significant public interest of the U.S. And number 5 is urgent humanitarian or medical reasons. And the third point to note is that this visa can be issued for up to 5 years. They gave Mr. Vaz 1 year.
1 year. 1 year. No, I'm looking at an headline here that says PNP, which is the People's National Party, says that Mr. Vaz must explain the U.S. visa waiver. The opposition is now asking for an explanation of this waiver. And I'm saying, as we look at this closely, news have it that Mr. Vaz will be leading a delegation from Jamaica to the U.S. real soon. How can he do this, Mr. Rattigan? You're the lawyer here.
Well, I'll tell you what, he cannot. You cannot travel from Jamaica to the United States to conduct official government business using a B1, B2 visa. A B1, B2 visa, people know it as a tourist visa, but there's a business component to it. But that business component is not to conduct official government business. It's for example, to come overseas, come to the U.S. to buy goods. It's to attend trade shows, for example. It's not for official government business.
Yes,
so he's planning to use, and I'm sure he's not, I hope he's not, planning to use a B1, B2 for entry to conduct official government business. He must have a diplomatic passport with an A visa in it to conduct the type of business that he's scheduled or planning to conduct.
So coming.
So if him go with the delegation as a see there and go right away, I trouble that again. So him can't do it. He can't deal with no government business with that. Because just a waiver 1 year instead of 5. Come in with them give 5 if them get a waiver and consider something and watch you. 1 as a minister. Terrible, don't.
Public or going public with the news, because I'm sure, well, I can't say I'm sure, but who put this news out? Did Mr. Vaz himself put the news out that he was granted a 1 year B1, B2 visa?
Well, you just played a clip where he acknowledged
yes.
The courtesies of the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica to grant him this visa. So he's on public record of basically admitting that yes, he received this visa. But as I said to you in my opening remarks, if I were advising him, I would have nothing to. I would have told him, look, shut him out. Travel, if you have to travel, and let people realize that you have the visa. But do not make any proclamations, any statements about the visa, because it's going to generate interest and questions and concerns as it is now.
Well, the concern that I'm having, and the concern that many Jamaicans at home and abroad is having, is that a government minister has accepted a visa from the U.S. government that is saying, yes, it could be a possibility that this individual, based on the waiver, that this individual has done something wrong or could have done something wrong.
Well, Rustin, here's an interesting point, right? Any embassy, right? Let's talk about the embassy in Jamaica. They issue visas, right? But entry into the United States can only be granted by Customs Border Protection at the airport. People refer to them as immigration, but they're not immigration. They're not immigration in the truest sense of the word. They're border patrol people. So if you get a visa from Jamaica and you show up at Kennedy Airport or any airport, and you're interviewed by CBP personnel, and they can refuse to grant you entry. So this visa that he has, I can tell you, it's a red flag. Every time he comes in, he's going to be stopped, and he's probably going to be... If I were Mr. Vaz right now, I would be worried to travel on that visa. Because they could stop you, they could secondary you, meaning that they tell you go sit down over there to put you in a room, a big room, where they go where they deal with all the people with problem visas, problem cases. And they have to sit there for hours on end. And then in the end, they could just simply say, look, we don't think that it would be wise to have you enter the U.S. at this time. So we're going to ask that you take the next flight out and return to Jamaica. It could happen. Right. It could happen.
Now, Herb, as a senior intelligence analyst here, how red are these flags on this visa?
Very
because
red.
It seems to be painted red all over.
It's very red. Red like when I talk about subject, they said the red, very red. The visa, very red.
How red is this?
It's painted red all over. It was done as a personal favor by Ambassador Tapia. And it leads to me questioning, what did Tapia do in Jamaica that would force him to have to do this on Mr. Vaz's behalf? I think there's some quid pro quo here that is happening. Who knows? But the bottom line is, like I said, if you have a minister who's compromised, you cannot let that minister go overseas and conduct business on behalf of the government because he's a compromised figure. And there's no telling what he would be required to do to come from underneath that compromise. How to have that compromise cleared. So I'm not accusing him of doing anything. I'm just saying he puts himself in that situation.
I don't.
If I was still an intel officer, and I'm urging certain people to go at him, right? And let him lay out everything that's going on with regards to the Chinese and everybody else that favors are being done in Jamaica. So whenever Jamaica, little dirty secrets that exist, I've been waving those under his nose, showing him just how much we have on different people in the cabinet or in the Labour Party, and urging him to come clean on everybody.
Right? Raskin, let me just, Herb, I mean, he's making some very, very important points. I used to do this for a living. It's not classified. I used to arrange for people to come to this country because they had something to give. People who normally should not come in, but we allow them to come in because they had something to offer. Once they come in and we decided to let them in, the whole range of intelligence and counterintelligence activities were triggered. The whole range was triggered. And so you have monitoring, you have physical surveillance, you have electronic surveillance, you have sources involved. It's much more than what we're telling you, but believe me, it's very involved. And the point he made should not be understated, that somebody with this kind of visa, you just never know what's being asked of that person. You just never know.
You know, the timing of this is also very, very interesting, because the UN General Assembly assembled this past week here in New York. It is to my knowledge that the Prime Minister was supposed to be here on Friday. I'm not sure if he is in the US as we speak, but it was said that the Prime Minister was going to address the UN based on his position on climate change in Jamaica. It was around the same time, 2 years ago, 2019, that Mr. Vaz accompanied the Prime Minister to the UN General Assembly. And days after that, his visas were revoked. Subsequently, his wife's visas were also revoked. How concerned should Mr. Vaz be, though? Because I am not sure that if he understands that all the intricacies that attach to this visa, how concerned should he be?
The man say, "Oh, bad mind," and you know, wish one and all the detractors, and you're see him on the next flight. When you listen them FBI, them from FBI and money and them specialists and them money and them thing they hear what go on, yeah?
Traveling on that visa.
Well, after listening to us now, he should be very concerned. Unless, of course, there's a different agenda, which is what Herb is suggesting. Right? I think Herb is suggesting, and I'm trying not to put words in his mouth, but I think he's trying to suggest that there's an element of cooperation there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're dead on target. And need I remind you, Rustin, that in 2009, it was a man attorney that came to Jamaica and met with both Dulus and Mr. Vaz and another individual just before the Tivoli Garden
incursion
happened because they were trying to extract Dulus, and Dulus was trying to, influence the decision, so to speak, to the tune of over $49,000. And then they showed where that money was as a result of money laundering through some tourism concoction. Yeah.
So it was money, it has shown some money laundering from the tourism concoction them use. What do I say them, what are they? Let's play back that and listen.
Just before the Tivoli Garden
incursion
happened because they were trying to extract Dulus, and Dulus was trying to, influence the decision, so to speak, to the tune of over $49,000.
Wow.
And then they showed where that money was as a result of money laundering through some tourism concoction. Now, think about.
So we never know that's how the money go through a tourism concoction. I think them have them own account as the party, and then them pay the money up from boom bam. Here where it got you. Here. All right. So maybe go on play
that. And then the so-called letter from Attorney David Rowe that he was even stronger than that and laid a case out there against Mr. Vaz. I'm not saying I'm saying everything that David Rowe said. I'm backing it up. I'm just saying these things just happen, and that David Rowe stuff happened in 2012. And that was after the Tivoli incident. So
So you have a slew of incidents where the FBI and the Southern District of New York have been investigating Mr. Vaz all that time.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So if you look at any other incidences that my friend, Special Agent Dixon had come up with at the HSI office in Kingston, and there are several that we discussed, and we talked at length about members of that ruling party involved with money laundering. So if these are the active cases that any active case can force the issuance of that visa as well.
Members of the ruling party involved in money laundering. We see it, and you hear them, different agents, retired agent and things, them know what go on. So although you see them and them have the rope, them gather for them information and slow to move, but when they move, them have to move. See, all kind of things. Yeah? So now like the visa what Vaz get, I say, okay, you're innocent, so I just give back something. It's a different thing, it's a waiver fee, it's like a control thing, and just listen good. But dissect the whole thing, You understand? A normal visa, this, and a normal visitor visa.
Even if they're using it as cover. But if Mr. Vaz is coming up to clear his name and to clear up all of these cases, then so be it. I welcome him to come up, clear his name, and get he and his wife's visas, correct visas, back. And help them put in jail those people in the party that belong in jail, that should be tried and sent to jail.
So them I say, Vaz to come up, that mean him to come up and turn the rat and cut a deal. And that them just say, come clear your thing to get the visa back and make you put some people at your party for go to jail. Me want them go to jail long time, go for it. Them a criminal. The biggest corruption thing, we talk about it long time, but them things that people now watch and make them stay there. You understand? It's like it's a deal. Them a look and say, right, give him 1 year, boom, bam, bam, make him come and him start scream, they could grab up some people. When I grab them in a 1 year, make it look like a you and 2 years. America work already. Them need. You feel me I say? But things are going on.
So you have a slew of incidents where the FBI and the Southern District of New York have been investigating Mr. Vaz all that time.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So if you look at any other incidences that my friend, Special Agent Dixon had come up with at the HSI office in Kingston, and there are several that we discussed, and we talked at length about members of that ruling party involved with money laundering. So if these are the active cases that any active case can force the issuance of that visa as well, even if they're using it as cover. But if Mr. Vaz is coming up to clear his name and to clear up all of these cases, then so be it. I welcome him to come up, clear his name, and get he and his wife's visas, correct visas, back. And help them put in jail those people in the party that belong in jail, that should be tried and sent to jail. Right? And I'm not talking about just the jail alone. Any member of parliament down there, there's different members of parliament that are under a cloud.
Wow.
This needs to happen.
You know what's interesting, Rasclin?
Yes, sir.
At the time that Mr. Vaz's visa was revoked, I believe Mr. Philip Powell's visa was revoked as well.
Yep.
Yes. And interestingly, we haven't heard anything, not even a peep, about his the waiver for his visa, because under this new rule, the waiver doesn't have to be filed by the applicant. It can also be filed by the consular officer or any consular officer in Kingston. Right, they can do it on their own volition. So I haven't heard anything about this. And the second point is, you have some bad-minded people out there, and if I were Mr. Vaz, I would be careful of those people, because it wouldn't take anything for somebody to call CBP. They know he's traveling, and just drop a dime. I won't go any further. You know what I mean by that? Because once that's done, I guarantee you he's not gonna be granted entry.
You know, this is a very sticky situation. It's a very sticky situation, and that's why I asked the question: who made this public that Mr. Vaz was granted a 1-year B1, B2 visa with all the stipulations on it? Well, he acknowledged that he got the visa. So he is on record saying that he got this visa. But the visa that he got, it has raised a lot of questions. And the opposition People's National Party is asking for an explanation on this waiver that was that Mr. Vaz got, which enabled him to get this visa. I'm going to ask both gentlemen for a closing statement. I asked Herb the question: how red are the flags on this visa? And Herb, it's painted red all over. Red all over.
It's on fire. It's on fire, Rascal.
Wow.
I really and truly, just listening to what my good friend attorney Rattigan is saying, it really begs the question. Can he pull this off? Can he really clear his name if that's his objective? I'd love to see that occur, because I don't want to see the weakness in the government where the tapir came down and after complaints from the Prime Minister and others, brushed the NIA chief aside, took his budget and gave it to the Ministry of Justice. There's just too much at stake when the Prime Minister or Mr. Vaz or anybody in close association with the Prime Minister has stuff on them, right? And the intelligence services would definitely use that for leverage, because they want people talking to them.
With the 2 minutes I have left, Rattigan, the question is, and this sounds like corruption is just painted all over Jamaica. How high is the corruption level in Jamaica right now? Because listening to all of this and the information that is coming in, how high is the corruption in Jamaica?
It's to the sky, to rhyme, to the sky. You know, it's interesting that the TNP would seek to elicit a response from Mr. Vaz regarding this visa situation. Now, the B1, B2, that's really none of their concern, but
it's the waiver. It's the waiver. The waiver is their concern.
The waiver, yes. But the B1, B2, it refers to the issuance of, the waiver refers to the B1, B2, which is really a private thing, but he's made it public. But what they did was, which was kind of unique in a sense, is that they didn't attack it from that perspective. They attacked it by saying, look, you're a member of parliament and there's an allegation that you're a drug trafficker. And so we would like to hear from you, what's this all about? Now, what I would say to anyone who's asking the question about this, especially as a politician, you know what they say, right? Those who live in glass houses mustn't throw stones. Is this. They remember what the provision says. It says if the consular officer, right, or whomever, if they have information or reason to believe, it doesn't say proof. So they could do this to anyone. But the thing to remember is this, and I've served in embassies all over the world, is that whenever you hear that, whenever there's smoke, you know the rest of the story, right?
There's a fire.
Like grandma used to say, you know.
There's a fire burning somewhere.
If it not go so?
I'm going to ask both you gentlemen to keep a watchful eye on this situation. We're going to have to pay attention and see if this delegation that we're hearing about now, if it does happen that Mr. Vaz leads a delegation from Jamaica to the US, this is going to be very, very troubling, because he will be doing so on improper documents, huh? Mr. Herb Nelson Jr., Senior Intelligence Analyst, U.S. Army, retired FBI Special Agent and Attorney at Law, Mr. Wilfred Rattigan. We're out of time. I want to thank you both, gentlemen. 30 minutes fly by so fast, but you know, this is very interesting. This is a very interesting moment in Jamaica's history when it comes to corruption in Jamaica. What is really happening? How could a government minister accept a visa of such from the U.S. authorities? Something ain't sitting pretty with this. Gentlemen, thank you both very much.
Thank you very much, Russ.
We'll talk soon, guys. Take care.
Can you imagine? This is what we are talking about. Me, that's why I come sitting here because me do the deflection in the day, but then glad for the little deflection we go on from the other day, because you deflect from the thing a long time if you come out and come play this. See? Because you want to know what a visa is all about. It's a waiver, and then use them discretion and give a waiver because they not really let you in, and it can't no government business. And the reason and this visa I'm gonna point out say it a point out the kind of bad thing where them that hold you accountable for the reason why them revoke a visa. And they hear much things and you hear who are investigate and everything them say them corrupted. And there's and it a run through enough for the politician them. They say Jamaica the biggest corrupted place right across the board right now. That's how we date it. That's how this is 80, That's how we date it now. Past 80. Right now. So no matter what, them I say, well, I fight crime and this and that. Let me tell you this. If the youth them, let me just say it again. If the youth them shoot them one another, reprisal killing. But when you look, all kind of things that happen. This are land thief, this are the another poor people that thief them kill themselves. Why I think Jamaica the big corruption and all money laundering and all kind of little things and the drug trafficking and everything. Police involved, the politician involved, and big man involved. For you as a small man for move across Jamaica without a link, for even carry ganja, is a no-no. You understand? That's why I'm born the big belly pampers them because pay them go out with a bag of things. You have to have link. Can't leave the wharf. Can't leave the airport. Just get up like me. I get up now. Me not smoke. Me not sell weed. Me not do nothing. Drugs and me just get up and say, okay, me not get the drugs from. And me just take some money and say, me go buy, get a key, and me carry it through airport. So where I go with that? Oh, maybe by the time you drive from one place to the other, man, police bus you, man. So them the whole of them involved. I mean, I tell them, say the word I watch them. Me dying for some of them got the egg. Some of them, man, fit with pluck them out, man. You can't have criminal around Jamaica. And then I talk about you search your criminal and pipe and some truths. Or some little get a youth that can defend themselves. And have no money and nothing at all. And come with one bag of foolishness. Me know that with them. Them corrupted. You understand? Me now ask the handle corrupted and criminality. And each and every part of them is line themselves with some yes man round them. Like some Google gagas and some other people to protect them. You can't lock them up, you can't touch them. But let me tell you this. You have the word, remember the word intertwine now. The word intertwine. So everybody watch what go on and every country around this have interest, especially on Latin about Chinese. But when they can do something, give them footprint, if a war start them jumping in America and in North America. I think people are that. When they do all kind of things and I swap out land and I give them land. 50 years yeah, highway, 50 years concession. And give them a bag of land. If you go build up, they are doing a sentence, them are doing a sentence, them have a place where they want to build up them own like Chinese city. Some up now Lynch and Bush and some up this. So enough thing they are going on with them. And then just a collect and a scrape. US are watching. Remember you have to move out money in and lands and everything of it. It kind of tie with US banking system. So when they use certain, especially I touch the US dollar, because Jamaica dollar dead in. That a monopoly money. The real little monopoly where you play. Are them money that. So that now go no way, it can't leave, it can't go across 80, nobody don't want it. $80 stronger than Jamaican money. Like a 2 for 1. Yeah. Because we 150 of them around 70. Maybe it's around 70 to the US now. So like 2 for 1. See, so them stronger than we are 2 something for 1. See? So these are the things where I try to show you. If I never the corruption, I remember you can't have a country highest in corruption. But you're still in every year. Just think about 10 years. Which big man, even at the private sector, public sector, and not now politician, you sit down a prison lock up. That for sure you say them now do nothing. Them just bury things under, bury things under bush. And then continue script. And then finger on people. Them know say them pull up. Them know say the government cover. Them know say them have nothing inside government cover. And I want to them. You know, say, I know, can you imagine, healthy nation and wealthy nation, educated nation and wealthy nation. But you see, you have a minister I got thief pick the money. I got education money. And a woman come out. Remember, you know, you witness there, you shouldn't have run up and down, so you know, a woman come out and say, listen, them carry me and open account there, so I make me sign and them a draw money out of this, them and go give me 30,000 and call name. No mix me up. You know, and you see a driver come out and say the same thing. And other people come out and say the same thing. Man still get 26,000 by 2,000. Him still apply for special leave. Remember, you're not part of the government and not do nothing, you know. See? Them a try, everybody know, people get mass, say you get trial date same time, how much money, but you still cruel creed, can't get trial. We know, you know about the petrol jam, what 500 million barrel of oil gone. Oh, and when them do, the government send people to go dive and feel the pipe and say for the oil leak. 500 million barrel of oil. You tell me now, in a little harbor, if that did have oil leak, forgot this so. The whole place I feel like there's so much dead fish and they'll float up on top and all kind of thing and smell up the whole place. Them send people, waste some money. Yeah? Call people from JD and send for go feel if them have any eye leak like we are idiot. I saw them deal with Jamaican. But through them I deal with me from back